Hey YouTube. So today we're going to use these buckets to see if we can um, propagate some clippings that I'm going to take. Now this is all meant to be on a budget, so there are some very specific ways to do clippings and to make sure they do really well. You sanitize everything. Today I'm just going to work with what I have, and it's kind of an experiment to see if it works. Okay, so this is the peat moss I'm going to be using. I always end up with extra after I do my seedlings because I mix this with usually gardening soil or potting soil to do my seedlings. So you get a big bag. It's usually more than you need. So I want to find a use for this instead of having to store it all year. Okay, so this rooting hormone here is what I'm going to use. I've had this bottle for a few years, so I'm hoping it's still potent. I don't know if it goes bad or not, but like I said, this is just about working with what I have, and it's kind of an experiment. So if it works, I might invest in some new stuff, but I still got plenty in here, so I want to try to use it up. So what I've done is just fill these buckets with peat moss. And I forgot how dry and nasty that stuff is, but when you're dumping it, it's going to go everywhere. It's very dusty and dry. So first step I'm going to do is just wet down the soil pretty good, because you don't want to be sticking freshly clipped things right into that dry soil, or it's just going to dry out the stem. So I'm going to go ahead and wet this, and then we can get started clipping. Okay, so I just wanted to briefly kind of show you how to actually clip these plants. Oops, sorry, the camera's blurring. I just want to show you the process for clipping these so they have the best chance to survive. So what I have is a couple of rhododendron clippings I took. I'm going to try to get all 6 of these because I think I can fit 6 in a pot. So I'm going to clip these into 6 different clippings. And this is just all the new growth. That's what you want to look for. You don't want to look for anything that's real hard, or if it's getting a bark on it, it's probably not the best for this. So I'm going to try this nice new fresh growth. And you can see at the base of the plant, it actually has a lot of these little shoots coming off of it. And I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of good growth cells at the base of these. Plus the leaves are nice and small, which is what you want. But I also have a hyacinth clipping here. These things tend to do good no matter what. So I'll start with this. And really, for this type of plant, you might not even need the rooting hormone because they do extremely well by themselves. But I'm just going to show you how. So the first thing I would recommend is you kind of want to choose how much of the plant you want, because you don't want too many leaves, because that's going to give it a lot more energy that it's going to have to put out to try to support all these leaves. So you want to kind of eliminate those. First thing I'm going to do is cut it right here, right below the leaves, right below this little part here. And what I try to do is put it at an angle so you get as much surface area at the bottom there when you do the clip. Clip it there. Okay, I put that aside. And now what you want to do is take these leaves, we're going to remove them, but I want to pull them down and try to kind of break open that base there. So you get a little bit of green that's coming through. It's actually exposing the inside of the stem, which is what you want. So you do the same thing on the other side. Pull it off. Try to take a little chunk with you. And you'll see now there's lots of nice green wet area on the bottom of the stem that rooting hormone is going to stick to pretty well. So now I'll take my rooting hormone and I just dunk it in there. Like so. And then we'll go ahead and stick this right in the pot. Okay, so now I'm going to try the rhododendron bushes here. And these, from what I've been reading, they will take a while to actually root and spread. So this is not a fast, this season type of procedure for rhododendrons. They take a long time to grow, so you don't want to be in a hurry with this because it will take at least a year before these plants are growing back at all. So maybe next season I'll have some nice little plants, or I might just have a bin full of dead stuff. We'll see. But again, the first thing I want to do is kind of choose how many of these leaves I want, because I don't want all of them. So what I'm going to do is just kind of strip back these so I can see better. Again, I'm pulling down just in case I want to keep that part of the stem. Trying to expose as much of that root as I can. And sometimes it really pulls off a lot of the stem and sometimes not. Ooh, I got a good piece there. You can see it's kind of pulling it back. I'll try this one with these 4 leaves on here because I'm just kind of experimenting. But see, you can see where I've removed the leaves. Those are most likely to have growth cells in them. So I want to kind of pick a place along that area. And so I'm going to do about right there. No, a little further down. Do about right there. And again, at an angle. And this, you can feel it is kind of stiff, like it's a little harder than it really should be. You want to go for the softest part, but I don't know if I trust this because this is still very sticky up here. So I'm going to try there. So, I mean, obviously you want to put these right in the ground, but I'm going to try to just do all 6 of these, and then put them all on the ground together just for the sake of this demo. What I am going to do, since these are all on one piece, I'm gonna basically go with just this top part, which is very sticky, but I'm hoping, because this is obviously nice new growth here, that it's going to be more responsive to this process. So I'll start by just cutting off these stems. Okay, and let me just kind of go over again the process with this stem, because it's going to be the same with any variety you do. All you want to do is look for any little leaves along the stem. You want to pick a nice green stem, nothing too woody, and you want to pull off any extra leaves because this part's going to be in the ground. And different varieties will either be easier or harder to kind of find a good spot to do this, but the process is basically the same. You just want to strip any leaves off of this section that's going in the ground, and then you want to look for any little exposed area that are going to help put out some little roots. So any little nubs left over from the leaves, or any stem that's exposed from kind of pulling those pieces of leaves off, are going to kind of help with the process. Once you get to this point, you just cut it at an angle. Same thing you would do if you were putting flowers in a vase. You just want as much surface area at the bottom as possible, and you want to dip it in the rooting hormone. This rooting hormone is not the nicest stuff to get on your skin. I would recommend using gloves and don't breathe it in or get it on you if you can help it. There's lots of warnings that come on it. So if you do end up getting some, you just read the bottle. It's not good for you, so wear some gloves if you can. Other than that, I would just wash your hands immediately if you're doing this process without gloves. And that's about it. So now I'm going to try to get them into the soil here. Okay, so as you can see, I have my little hyacinth in there already. So now I'm just going to stick in the rhododendron bushes. And these are probably a little close together, but I don't really mind that. Okay, so just a couple notes here. I completed 3 of these buckets, And I'm going to stop there. I'll get these other two later. Because it was supposed to be overcast today, and now it's getting sunny, and I don't want to leave them in the sun too long. So I'm going to take these ones and put them in the shade somewhere, and then I'll fill the other two later, and I'll update you. I just want to show you some of the clippings I took, and like I said, it's kind of an experiment. So this one right here is Bleeding Hearts, and it's this plant right there. And I'm sorry it's not in bloom right now. It blooms in the spring, so it's a little bit past the spring now, but it looks pretty cool. Look it up. Everyone loves them. So I'm going to try to get some clippings. It's kind of a broad leaf for this. From what I hear, this process works easier on smaller leaf plants. But like I said, I'm just kind of experimenting. So the other clippings I took are this magnolia bush right here. Now this thing's pretty cool looking. These are kind of temperamental plants in my experience, but I took some clippings just in case they work. The main thing I wanted to do is these, and I'm having a brain fart right now, so I can't remember the name of them. But they are my favorite because they give nice, it's like a privacy type bush. They grow up nice and tall. They're about 6 feet tall, or more. They get pretty big, and in the spring they have these really cool yellow flowers on them. So they do pretty well on their own. If you even just push the stems down into the dirt, like, they go everywhere. They spread on their own. I'm just trying to get some little plants to help it along. Okay, so I have my 3 buckets here, and I just sprayed them down again. One note about the peat moss: you do want to let that soak overnight if you can, because it's so dry it tends to repel water at first. So I had to give them a good soaking just now, just to make sure the soil underneath was actually wet, because it'll actually kind of sit on top of the soil. So I'd let it like soak in some water a little longer before you do this for the best results. But here are 3 buckets. So I have a place picked out here. I'm just going to keep them in the shade underneath the greenhouse shelf here. And hopefully that's going to give them the environment they need, because what they need is some cool shade. They need some sun, but not direct sun, until they kind of recover, because otherwise they're just going to burn up. So I'll check back later.